doing it.
Yeah, it's cool because I've always seen your content. I like your message and all that, so it's cool.
Yeah. So, welcome to Brilliantly Sexy with Devina Kaur. Thank you so much for joining in. And today I should have asked you your name. How do you say my
Jonaed,
name?
Jonaed Iqbal.
Okay, we're going to start this again.
Yeah, no, it's all right. We could keep flowing. We could keep flowing. People butcher my name all the time. It's fine.
And mine too. Sit, jo, jo,
Jonaed.
Jonaed.
Yeah, Jonaed. Yeah, that's good.
Jonaed. Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's such a beautiful name. I always thought it was Jonaed. So, I'm
Yeah. I
so
mean,
white.
it's not your look, it's not your fault because the spelling is like sort of messed up. It's how like our names, how you say it in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, it's like different when you come over. So I think my parents sort of butchered my name in translation.
Welcome everybody to Brilliantly Sexy with Devina Kaur. And today I have Jonaed Iqbal he's the founder and podcast host of KnowDegree.com. And I simply love this guy and his content. And that's why I wanted to bring him in. Because as somebody I've got a bunch of degrees and I'm even embarrassed to mention them. So it's so bad, right? So I really wanted to learn from Jonaed, and that's why he's here. And he has this beautiful, articulate way of writing. Has this beautiful persona. What color are your eyes?
Hazel.
Hazel
And then
eyes.
it changes, I guess, based on like lighting and stuff.
He has hazel eyes, and not that it makes a difference because we are all divine,
Yes.
sexy beings. And thank you so much for joining us on today's show. And I'd like you to share your journey a little bit, and of course give us LinkedIn growth tips and how do you like you see I see you as somebody who's so polished and he's so classy and who has this beautiful style of writing. So I want to share that and see where we can, how we can learn from each other.
Of course, I'm excited to share all these things. So let me start with my journey.
Yes.
Um, I mean, so I actually unfortunately have a master's degree.
Oh no.
So I mean, my bachelor's, I got a bachelor's in applied math and economics, and I got my master in actuarial science. So I used to be an actuary, and for those of you who don't know, they're the ones who come up with insurance prices. So I'm pretty good in math, all this stuff. But I found I only did the degree because I come from Desi parents, and it's like you gotta get a job and all that stuff. And unfortunately, I don't come from wealthy parents, so I couldn't afford to do my business while I was getting it started. Because the thing with the business is, unless you have funds or you get funding, it's tough. And I made a conscious decision to not get funds because I feel like I don't want to be controlled, and I also don't want to ruin the mission, because you see a lot of people who have good founders who have good intentions, and then people are like, oh, well, you got to make this much money, you got to do this, you got to chase the money. And I don't want to do that, because I want to do it in an authentic way. So it starts in 2014. I'm on Reddit. Someone asked a question: for those of you without a college degree who make over six figures, how'd you get the job and what do you do? And it was like, I got the job because my uncle, my friend, my cousin, it was all like right place, right time. No formula. And then it was like, what do you do? It's like, I'm a claims adjuster. I work in this hospital. I have the certification. I'm a surveyor. Like, people don't grow up and say, I want to be a claims adjuster. Right. But it's like these jobs that they fall into and they pay well. And as they get in, they work their way up. They become like level 2, level 3. So I was like, why can't I be that friend? Why can't I be that person that can sort of guide these people? And I put in an inquiry for KnowDegree.com, and a few days later, it was like $1,800, and it was like I split it with two of my college buddies. So I was like, yeah, because I didn't have $1,800, but I would have done it with them anyway.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we bought it, and it's like I've been developing and building like the brand, and it's one of those things that you don't have much progress the first 4 years, because I was working full time. My business partners were working full time, but it's like you learn a lot of things, and then it's like that hockey stick growth where in like fifth year you have more growth than previous 4 years combined, but the 4 years are necessary for the growth in the fifth year. And the sixth year, even more growth. And now it's like year 6, and it's like double the growth of last year. And now it's super self-sustaining, and so that's the journey, and it's like ups and downs, and LinkedIn has been instrumental in that journey.
Yeah. What do you mean by it's been? How has LinkedIn helped you?
So like for example, I met a lot of people. Like I started the podcast after I got on LinkedIn. I got a lot of my guests off of LinkedIn. I do resumes for like resumes is one part of my business. I learned how to write resumes off LinkedIn, and I learned from actually other resume writers. I took bits and pieces from everyone else, and I learned it. And then they gave me business advice, all these types of things. Like I'm on this live show because of LinkedIn, right? We were connected for well over a year, so and it's just really networking with people and really connecting and finding people who support you and finding people to support, and that's really been instrumental in my growth.
So you obviously, I first of all, I had no idea that you had degrees. You hit that very well. Okay, so
Yeah.
congratulations.
No, I mean most people don't really, your profile, they don't scroll down. So
Yeah. Well, actually, I did look you up, but somehow I might have missed that. But so obviously you've got this. By the way, it's a genius idea, right? Like it is such a genius idea that $1,800 is worth it.
Yeah.
But where did you get the idea? Like, how did it? Like, did it come across in a dream?
It was just that reading that question, I was like, why? I want to be like, there's no centralized resource for people without degrees, right? And I was like, I want to help them. I want nodegree.com to be a place where if you're not sure what you want to do, you can look up, I can be a plumber. How do I become a plumber? How do I become a welder? How do I become a pipe fitter? How do I become a glazier? Just seeing all these careers, because a lot of these careers, people are like, wow, I would like to do that. That's pretty interesting, but they just don't know about it. So and it's just like, from then on, I knew what I had. I was like, this is my lottery ticket. This is going to make me rich and I can help lots of people. I was like, woohoo.
Yeah.
And it's like when you hit that idea, that's like, this is me. And the more I do it, the more it becomes apparent, right? Like it was always for me in 2014, and it's even more for me in 2020.
So how long have you had so we've been connected on LinkedIn for a year and a half or so. Yeah. And I know in the beginning, I never used to see your, I did not see No Degree, but then all of a sudden I started seeing nodegree.com pop up. And I was like, that's really interesting. Because as somebody who's a perpetual student, I mean, I'm a student of life. I unfortunately have too many degrees. And I'm like, what a waste of time and money, right? Yeah. So this comes up, and I'm raising a child now, and then we've got the pressure of going to university to get degrees, and I'm like, I'm not using any of my degrees, right?
Yeah.
So are you, like, for you as obviously your parents must be, how are your parents in it, number one? Number two, what do you do with your degrees? Do they come into the work you're doing right now?
Right now, no. I mean, once in a while, some analytics and stuff. Like I'm pretty good at analytics, and I do have to thank my corporate background. But the main thing is like my degrees, because what happens is a lot of times there are people who bash degrees, and they don't have degrees, and sometimes people counter like, oh well, it's because you couldn't finish, right? The thing is, look, I finished and I did well. Like I was like in undergrad, I was like top of my class. Like I'm a very good student. Like I could go into a college class, depending on the class, right? If it's advanced math class, science class is different, but I can go into majority classes and I'll be like top 3 5 students. So I'm very good. But I also realized that not everyone gets that. Like a lot of people, it's like you can look at an NFL player, you can look at a basketball player and be like, look, this person's naturally athletic. Right? Like you can't be 5'2" in the NBA, and you can't just point at one person in history who's 5'4" and it's an NBA, right? It's just reality that there are certain things that you have to have these prerequisites. So a lot of people don't realize, and the thing is with studies, it's like sort of hidden. Like some people are just naturally grasping, some people have better memory, and some people just are better students. Like there were people who studied 3 times as hard as me, but I'd study 1/3 the time and get higher grades. And it's not because I'm like harder working and all this stuff, or it's just some people, like I grasp math much more easily than most people. I'm not a good artist. You ask me to draw, I'm a terrible artist, but it's okay, where some people are more natural. So it helps me in the sense that a lot of people don't dismiss the idea because they're like, hey, why you? And I'm like, look, I know who the education system favors and who it doesn't favor. I know what it's good for and what it's not good for. I know what it can do, and I know the limitations of it. So by going through that, it does come from a different sort of credibility.
So what do you mean? Like, so let's go into a little bit detail about the education system, rather the broken education system. Yeah. So what do you mean that who does the education system favor?
Good students, like someone like me, good students. It favors people who have resources. So if you're not a good student, it favors people whose parents can afford tutors. It favors, the students that teachers like for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
There is some bias in terms of how attractive you are. It favors people who are sort of a little more well spoken. And it just favors people who are more, I guess, more developed in their younger years, because a lot of people don't develop them, like they don't find themselves, they have a lot of issues. So now I'll jump into who it doesn't favor. Like, let's say you have mental health issues, you have depression, you have ADHD, you have bad home. It does not favor you. And there are some people who, and it also doesn't favor someone who's not, doesn't know what they want, because there are so many people who I see. The best students, if you go to university, are typically older people who are there to come back because they know what they want to do. They don't have time to like mess around and do that, and they're paying for it. They're like, look, I got to take a year off work, or this is time I could be spending. So that's who it sort of favors, and who even handicapped people. Like, think about a person in a wheelchair. For them to go around campus, they have to plan their day. Like, it's not just, hey, 20 minutes, I'll go to this. It's like, no, I got to go through this underground tunnel and use this stairway, and I got to use this elevator. It's so different. So now it's like, it just favors people who are better with structure, a lot of things.
Yeah. So that sounds like it's like life. Like life,
Yeah.
Favors people who are perfectly fit into a box.
Where, yeah.
And unfortunately, that's not our reality, right?
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't have mental health issues, or
Yeah.
who doesn't, and especially with with COVID, the pandemic,
Yeah.
the pandemic, pardon me, who like we're all struggling in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And now more than ever, like our degrees, our system is so broken, where like my daughter's going to school online, and she's going partially back to school, and what I'm seeing is like the teachers are spending time with management of the students. It's like emotional management.
Yeah.
One, so the students are busy. Like my daughter is a great student, but she's like, oh, I hate this religious class, or I hate this, and like I don't want to go to do this, right? And I'm like, she's right. Like, what do I tell her?
Yeah.
But then she's like, the only reason she wants to go to school is because she wants her friends.
Yeah.
So, it's like, it's an interesting situation to go through, and we're seeing that the collapse of the system.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I mean, look, you kind of, but to be fair, I also think you also see how hard teachers work, because a lot of parents just were like, oh yeah, I could do this, and then you see most of these parents can't even do fractions and stuff, and so it's not easy, because it's like in the education system, the parents actually play a big role in it, because oftentimes a child with behavioral issues, it's like their parents are not, whatever, they're not supportive or whatever, and so it's like, if you don't have the support at home, how are you going to focus in school when your home life it's just so much tougher? You have so much more to worry.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm severely ADD.
Yeah.
So I have lots of issues, right? And I can never fit into a box. But coming back to your story about where you said you don't have that creative side.
No, I do have a creative side. I just can't art-wise. Art, I suck. I'm creative in terms of strategy and stuff. I just suck. Yeah. You asked me to draw. I suck at that.
Yeah. Well, and so I was gonna say that you were great. Like, you're very creative and very articulate in your writing as well. So when you post on LinkedIn, and by the way, when you post on LinkedIn, it's like really somebody who's, like I mentioned earlier, well spoken. What motivates you to? I never see you post about your podcast. I never see you post about no degree. I all I see is like these well thoughtful posts, and
Yeah.
And so what motivates you, and what's the strategy behind there, if there is one?
My thing is, it's like I don't really like selling, in the sense of like push it in your face. That's not me. Because there's some people who always sell, but it's just a personality thing. Some people can do it. For me, it's like, look, if it comes up in conversation, then we'll do it. And the beauty is, it always comes up, because people see, they're like, wow, this guy writes well. What does he do? And right there it says nodegree.com. So then people check it out. They're like, whoa, podcast. So I want to be like, look, I like what this guy writes. I like his thoughts. Let me check what his company's about. So I care, I will start mixing it up, but it's just like, I kind of post what I think about. Like, it takes me 3 to 5 minutes to come up with the post. And it's literally just like, oh, this word, boom. And that's it. I only need 3 words to come up with the post. And then that's how I do it. And a lot of it also, I came up with that is I've been reading. So like, I've been reading online since like 2008, 7. Like, I've always read stuff. and I read how other people write. I read a lot about copywriting, and it's just over the years you just casually absorb it. Like I read books on copywriting, and then I realized, like, look, if I think the best way to grow in an organic way that you add value is through content marketing. Like some people say, hey, you should cater to a very small audience and your target market. I'm of a different because everybody knows someone without a degree that's pretty smart, or everybody knows someone who's without a degree in a certain place in life. So I run into issue that my market is huge and it's a big problem. So I care more about echo. Sorry about that. So I care more about, just making sure that like a lot of people know what I do because oftentimes I get referrals from people in like who have PhDs
Yeah.
because because they're like, I know someone else who's very smart because everybody has a friend without a degree who's smart. So that's sort of why I do it. So that's kind of how I want people to like me, respect my content, and then choose me because I like I don't want to only cater to a small market, and because then I sort of limit myself in a certain way because I have a different strategy, right? My goal is I have a very long term goal.
Yeah, I love that. That's a visionary, right? Like,
Yeah.
I have a long term goal. And so let me ask you, can you share what your goal is?
Well, my ultimate goal is I want to remove the stigma attached to people without college degrees because oftentimes they're associated with not being as smart, they're dumb, so many things, like so many negative things, like they're lazy. Oftentimes it's like, hey, why would it's like, hey, I want to hire someone who can finish something. It's like there are people who finish lots of things. Like, it's just such a bad way to look at people. And I want to, especially in the U.S. U.S. is where the costs are astronomical. I want to be at a point where colleges actually have to lower their tuition because people will actually consider not going. And I want to be able to convince employers that, look, why are you gonna? I'm not saying, look, college has no use. I'm just saying it's not useful for everybody, and it's not useful for everybody's lifestyle or depending on their needs, right? Because you have a daughter, and for people who are, I don't know if you're a single parent, but people who are single parents, it's like, let's say you're a single parent and you have to go back to school. It's like so much harder because like 80% of people who are in college have like support. They're from like the top, they're middle class or higher. So if
Mhm.
you're poor class or you're a single parent, you have these life issues. Let's say your parent passes away at 17 and now you got to make some money. It's like, and then, someone tells you, well, I know someone who worked 49 jobs and did this. It's like, that's not reasonable for most people. And it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So can you one speak a little bit louder, please?
Yeah, of course.
Or just bring the mic
Yeah,
closer.
yeah.
Because when before we got into the podcast and the show, we were playing around. I was checking out Jonaed's mic and everything, so
Yeah.
I must have screwed it
Yeah,
up.
I'll speak louder. Is
Yeah,
this
I'm
better?
sorry about that. But you know what? I am actually a single parent, and as it turns out, like, so we get. I'm from India. I'm born
Yeah.
and raised in India. My parents still live in India. So we get a lot of pressure to fit in and do the normal, like go to university, get 500 degrees, get this well-paying job, and have a relationship, and don't even think about a divorce. So never talk about mental health issues, never talk about your weaknesses, right? So we all live in these boxes with all of this pressure, and I see my daughter have the same pressure. Like, she's like, mommy, you know what, I don't know what I want to do, and that's perfectly okay. She's 12 years old.
Yeah.
Like, how, I don't know, do we know what we want in life? Like, we can be gifted at certain things at an early age, but many of us don't, right? Like,
Yeah.
most of us don't, I
And
would
at
say.
12, I mean, think about how many college students change their major their first year. Like, how many people do you know? Hey, I want to be a doctor. I want to be this, and then they take their first bio class and they flunk it, and then all of a sudden, how many people do you know pre med, and all of a sudden they switch? It's like because they have no idea. All they know is like doctor, lawyer, engineer, business owner, CEO. Those are only like 5 jobs that people know,
Yeah.
and there's so many. There's so many, and it's just not like there's no way someone can know at 18 without having the life experiences. You need to have those life experiences to sort of figure yourself out.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask me, would I be doing this today? It's like, I would have no idea. No idea. Like,
No.
right? It's just different life. And who knows what I'm going to do in the future? I mean, I want to do the same thing at the company, but who knows like how things will go and this and that.
Or your vision might change as well,
Yeah.
right? Like, And that's perfectly okay too, right? And actually, I feel the same way with Sexy Brilliant. Like, I've established sexybrilliant.org. We're a nonprofit foundation to remove toxic shame. And now I'm like, what's next? I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? What do I do next? It's running. It's doing great, and I'm a published author. So I've got all of these things, and I still question, like, what do I want next? And unless we know what we want, we're never gonna have it.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And but that at 12 years old or even at 18, I mean, it's kind of hard to um, know what you want to do as a career. We're all gonna work. We're all going to. There's something I tell my parents. I'm like, leave her alone, right?
Yeah.
She's. We're all gonna work. We're all gonna do what we're meant to do. We're gonna find a way. But the pressure that we put on our children, and I know that I had a lot of pressure growing up to finish my degrees, to like to fit that, do that box thing kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
what do you recommend to somebody who's I know a lot of young people are watching this who are perhaps considering about going to university, college. What in your experience can you share with them?
Make sure you have a plan. I mean, the worst thing to do is go to college and not know what you want to do. Like, look, it's okay for it to change, but you need to actually have a plan. I meet so many people who are like going, and it's, I don't know, it ends up becoming a glorified babysitting area where it's like you got to make sure, hey, I want to do this and be strategic. Because I meet so many people, zero internships in 4 years. Like, what have you learned if you have applied to zero internships? That means it's like you didn't learn. You wasted your time. Because now when you go, I see so many people and they can't find jobs because they have no experience. Like, you have to, and don't forget that there are many ways to success in life. That college, look, it is a legitimate way if you know what you're doing, and just be strategic about it. Have a plan, know what you want to do, still enjoy yourself, but find the right balance of everything. That
Mhm.
don't go crazy where it's like, hey, I need to, because look, you can aim for that 4.0, but at the end of the day, if a 3.8 plus being able to balance things is also right. Find the right balance of things, because people just end up getting like focusing so much on grades, and at the end of the day, you see a lot of doctors who are bad, and it's like they all went to medical school, but they're still like there's some doctors who just don't know how to talk to people, who don't know how to treat people. Like, how hard is it to find a good doctor? Like, you have to keep switching and find. So why is that? They all went to medical school, so obviously the school. So just realize that school cannot teach you everything, and focus. Also learn outside of school. That
Mhm, mhm. And
learning
what
is a lifelong journey.
Yeah, very well said, and something we value very much at sexybrilliant.org. So how do you get your so for somebody who's looking for an internship, let's say, whether it's with a degree or without a degree, how does somebody go about getting an internship?
So first, you have to know like really what roles are out there. A lot of people are not good at finding jobs. So first, you have to know like the titles. You have to know what like your end goals are, and just you have to be flexible, because if it's your first internship, you can't say, "Hey, I need to get paid $40 an hour for my first internship." You have to be smart about it. Then the other thing is, what have you already done? If you don't have any experience, join some clubs, join some, you know, even volunteer still counts as legitimate experience. So work on projects like, hey, I built my own personal website, and I built my own LinkedIn profile. That's a personal project. So just realize that you need to be able to show what you've done. Even if you're in college, you can show things you've done in high school, that hey, I was on the debate team and all that. So showcase your experience, and then understand, like, Google ATS resume. ATS stands for applicant tracking system, because a lot of online systems, they use this to track keywords and all that. And
Sorry,
then
what's it
network,
called again?
the applicant tracking system.
Apple
Applicant.
Apple Kit,
Yeah.
like really like Apple and then Kit.
No, applicant. APP.
Applicant.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I should have been louder.
So applicant tracking system.
Yeah.
ATS. You guys, you have to check that out. What ATS stands for.
Yeah. Okay. ATS, yeah, applicant tracking system. So that's something that, because think about it, it's a computer that gets hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes. It needs to scan it. So make sure that you understand how to write a resume a lot. Spend some time researching how to write a resume. And then also network, work on your communication skills. The amount of people, job seekers who I know who lack communication skills, it just holds you back. The fact is, at the end of the day, you're gonna do an interview, and they're gonna sort of see you. The other thing is, referrals are one of the best ways to get a job, right? Especially your first one. Like when I hired for like one of the companies I have, I didn't ask for any resumes. It was just like I asked my virtual assistant. I was like, "Hey, do you know some people?" And I asked my friend's sister, "Hey, do you know some college students who want to hire?" And that's it. They showed up, and simple as that. And now
Wow.
they can put it on their resume, right? So it's like you have to. But the only reason they got it because they were friends with her, and the only reason they, my virtual. And but why did I ask her? And why did I ask my virtual assistant? Is because both of them, I trusted them, and I knew they would not send me bad people. So again, it's like that's why it's like who your friends are very important.
So you had so your first people to go to when you need something is people who are in close contact with you, especially professionally, right? Like
Yeah.
you had a relationship, you trusted them, like you said, and that's so important. Wow. And then how did that relationship work out when you hired the college student?
Yeah, we hired like 18 people, so it's like part-time jobs and stuff, and it went well. Like, we had a good training program. It worked out well. Our clients were happy with the work. They provide like technical support for virtual events,
Yeah.
and people were happy. They're happy because like a college dream job, you sit in front of a computer or get paid $20 an hour. It's like a dream job. Like I wish I had that in college, and it's
Well,
flexible, right? You get to
yeah,
sign up.
yeah. When you were young, maybe, but
Yeah,
as you get older, you get
yeah,
you
yeah. Of course.
you life happens and you want to experience different things.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit about what would be your ideal, for you. You've got a podcast. You've got coaching. Are you offering coaching, career resumes? What would be an ideal client for you?
I mean, I don't do as many resumes as I used to do. I used to do like 20 a month, right? Now I do like 3 to 5 a month.
Yeah.
And the ideal client, honestly, is someone that's willing to pay me. So now look, I'll tell you why. So I charge a little more, right? I charge like 500 to 1,000 for a resume, but I spend 3 to 8 hours with them. I spent 10 plus hours with someone, and I write the resume in front of them
Okay.
because I don't want to just write a resume and they don't know how I did it. I teach them, look, this is how I wrote your resume. This is how you can do it. This is how you can edit it. Also like another, so that's kind of that. And then I say the reason that someone who's willing to pay me because the type of person that's willing to pay that much is super serious about their career and is looking for the next level. They don't want just any resume, right? It's not like they just want a cheeseburger. They want something like well done. They want a medium rare steak and they're looking for to stand out amongst the rest of the crowd. And I like giving them creative strategies and helping them really customizing a strategy that's unique to them. Another thing is just like career coaching wise, just like people sort of in the mid level who are really trying to figure out their careers. Because, as I'm getting my career coaching certification, a lot of times people they get jobs and sometimes they're good at it, but they burn out. And then it's really doing a deep dive into like, hey, these are the types of jobs that are good for you. These are the types of jobs that are not good for you. So now you need to focus on these things because I tell people there are four types of skills. There are skills you're good at that you like doing, skills you're good at that you don't like doing. There are skills you're bad at that you don't like doing, and skills you're bad at that you like doing. And so if you focus, if a lot of people end up getting jobs that you're good at but you don't like doing, that's going to cause you to burn out or hate your job. You want to minimize those things. Things you're good at that you like doing, you want to focus more on those things.
Hmm.
Things you're bad at that you don't like doing, you want to outsource or absolutely minimize. And things you're bad at that you like doing, you want to improve on them. So it's like finding out like what your sort of which bucket that your roles fall into.
That, by the way, that was just very, very brilliant. And if I can say that, very sexy and very brilliant, right?
Thank you.
Like, and that really comes from self knowledge, is to understand who you are, what you're good at, and what you're not so good at, and or what you want to get better at, right? Because it all really starts with self knowledge, and so many of us are lost there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that wisdom. Um, and there's like, I'm curious about where you get your wisdom from, because I also see something. I see up, and especially with you, Jonah, I see this pattern where you are awake till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I wake up late though.
Yeah. And okay, what time do you sleep? What time do you wake up? And how many hours do you work a day? Let's put it like that. A week. What do you want to share
It's
about that?
I typically sleep like 6 to 9 hours a day, depending on the day. I'll sleep at from like anywhere from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. It really depends on the day. Um, and if I have to wake up early, I'll get a nap. Like I had 2 naps today of like 40 minutes. In
Yeah.
between things, I think I'm gonna nap after this. Just because it's like I need to be on top. And how did I? How many hours do I work? Like for the when COVID first started, like around March, I was working like 70 to 80 hours a week. Just work all the time. Like it was a wake up work, but it was
What were you
because
doing?
I was starting up a virtual events company with a couple of partners, and now it's doing well. So now I can sort of move back a little and have a little more free time. And working on the no degree, like they both help each other and complement each other. So that was what I was spending a lot of time on. And the hardest time is when you first start a business, right? That's when you're the busiest, and there's a lot of uncertainty. But thankfully, it grew very quickly. And so that was that. And how many hours? What was the other thing? You asked a couple of things.
I said, when do you get rest and how do you like, what's your.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll sleep like the 2 to 6 a.m. and I'll typically wake up like 10 to 12. Even like sometimes I wake up at like 2, 3, like when I don't have an alarm clock and nothing to do. Like I was like, today's my day. So I'll sleep late and I can nap, right? Like I make sure to get my naps, whether it's like 30 minutes to an hour, just because it's like I'm sharper. I'm not as sharp when I'm, not rested. And I mean, I'm in a unique situation, so I can work that much because I focus on the things I'm good at that I like doing. I push off like my email, like I hate like email little organizing tasks and stuff. I push that off like that's the last thing that gets done. But if someone's like, hey, you want to get on a call? 100%. You want to catch up with this? 100%. And the beauty is, it's like it's work, but I don't consider it work. Like this is technically work, right? Like it helps me, it helps, right? But I don't consider it work. Like at no point do I feel like, hey, I did work. So
Because
it's
you're being authentic.
yeah. So
You're
it's
showing up as who you are, and that's the beauty about if you guys haven't checked out Jonaed, you should check him out. Um, and he's just authentic, simple, and easy, and that's the vibe you give off on your social media posts.
yeah, no, I'm happy. That's what I always want to give off. And then the self-awareness, honestly, it's just been a journey. So I'm 29 years old. I've always been like a little mature. Like I've always been like, I took a career coaching test and it's like one of my skills was futuristic. Like I've always been thinking about the future and I have very good friends and I surround myself with good people and I'm always reading, learning, and I'm learning from others. Like I don't have an ego because I can always learn from someone. Like I even learned from my nephew who's like 12 years old because you want to keep your mind open. You don't want to become, I find old is more about mentality. Like, hey, I don't want to learn anything. I know everything. I don't know everything and I'll never know everything. And I always have more to learn. So I think that attitude really helps me in that I realize that I have to know myself. I have to know my strengths and weaknesses because there's this thing, I'm not a big fan of, when people say, hey, you can do anything. And I don't think that's true. I think everybody can do something, but not everybody can do anything. Right. And that's okay. Like, I don't like, there's certain things I'll never be good at, but that's okay because there are other things that I can be good at and I can excel at that other people won't be as good at me as. Right. And it's just fine. And so that's kind of what I realized. Like, it's freeing when you realize, look, I don't need to be good at everything. I don't need to be like the world's greatest at everything. It's not, and physically, it's not possible. Even if you had the ability to do it, it's not possible. There's just not enough time in the day. So it's like, I really take that to heart. And so then I focus on what makes me me, what makes me unique, and I triple down on those things.
Love it so much. Very sexy and very brilliant. I mean, like you're living your passion. I'm living my passion with sexy brilliant, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I literally dream and I'm a little bit like you. There'll be some days where, I'll sleep off at 9 p.m. and wake up at 3 o'clock and start working.
Yeah.
And you know what? That was especially true when I was writing my book. I would have this odd hours of sleep and doing a lot of catching up, like you say, and just trying to keep everything together, right? Because that's part of the journey as well.
Yeah.
So, Junaid, anything else for our viewers who are here?
We gotta talk about the
Tip,
LinkedIn growth and all that stuff.
what's that?
The LinkedIn growth and
Yes,
stuff.
yes. Thank you for the reminder. Look, I'm so ADD. I forget my own stories, right?
Don't worry, I forget it too. But I think one of us would remember.
Yeah. So yeah, in closing, I mentioned to Janae that I want to talk a little bit about LinkedIn growth and how are you doing it? What tips do you have for our LinkedIn people who are LinkedIn. First of all, I was always very reluctant to get on LinkedIn, and I know we've all got these stories about things that stop us from our own success.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Why did I get on LinkedIn? I don't know. I just started, and then the organic reach was high, and it's still pretty high compared to other platforms. And I'm not competing with like celebrities and half naked people, so that helps. And sports highlight. People go on LinkedIn for a certain thing. They're more professional, more certain things. They're looking for a certain thing. So, and for my business, it's good because my business is a social enterprise. So it's like people want to see like, hey, people without degrees achieving. They like that. I get the support. Now, how to do well? It's like you got to network. Like LinkedIn is a 24-hour, 24/7 networking event. And if you're smart about it, it's networking on steroids. Now, and it's really and what people so first you got to get good at networking and then translate that to LinkedIn. So what does it mean to be good at networking? It means supporting others. If you focus on using LinkedIn for yourself, you can see those people right away. Eventually they're old, they never support anyone. Like when I first started, I do this even to this day, like I'll support people, but then there are some people who will never ever support you back. And it's not saying that if I support you, you need to support me. It's more that it's the intention that if I supported you all the time, and if you're only getting like 5 likes, and I'm always one of your 5 likes, and you never like my posts or you never comment, because when I started, right, everybody starts with like 5, 10 likes. I remember now I get a lot, whatever, over like at least 100, 200 every post. But I remember there was this one contest. It was like if you get it, you can become a speaker at this event if you get over 100 likes, and you will be nominated. And I remember I had to ask everyone, and then everyone to ask everyone to get 100 likes. But when I used to get like the 10, whatever, 5, 10 likes, I used to go to every one of those people who like my stuff. I used to go like 2 to 5 of their posts,
Wow.
right? And I'd leave a comment. And then for people who commented, I'd like 10 of their things and write like 2, 3 comments, because whatever people gave me, I gave it back much more.
Yeah.
And I never forgot about them, right? That no, regardless of, right, I'm like at 23K followers. I think I've passed, like, I did a stat. I had over 5 million views, over like 70,000 comments since I've been on my time on LinkedIn. And I don't forget the people who've sort of helped me, right? Like, I won't remember them every day, but every few months, I'm like, oh, I didn't engage with this person, and kind of check them out. And help people. Like, you have certain gifts, you have certain skills, you have certain knowledge. Like if you're in a certain career, help a student out who's in, if a student reaches out to you like, hey, I want to get into marketing, and marketing, go help them out. Like, I've done so many calls with people, and do it without expectation, because you never know. Like, I didn't think when I connected with you on May 23rd, 2019, that, hey, I'm going to be on her live show in 1 year. I didn't think of that, right? But it's just so happened that, I see you, I love what you do, you see me, you respect that. So it's like, you just don't know. So you should treat every connection as like, hey, someone who can help you, someone who can sort of guide you, and someone who you can help. And I think once you do that, everything else falls in place, because you don't need, yes, I have 23K. I have a different goal, right? I need to get a lot of awareness. But if I had other goals, even a network of 2 to 5K, more than enough. If you realize that if my strongest, like, let's say the tightest network is a couple of hundred people who are like super supportive, who are always there for me, who I know I can reach out and sort of get things from, and who they know they can rely on me, and who send me referrals. So focus on cultivating that network. Start with a small group of people. And look, some people won't support you back. Just move on. It's just a fact of life. Not everyone's going to support you, and just focus on the people who do. And
Yeah.
you keep on doing that. Keep on doing it consistently. It'll take you to so many magical places that, like, I couldn't have dreamed of being in this place. And just the way the stories come around is just so interesting.
It really is, and that was actually very well said. Said that, focus on just helping people and just sending the elevator back down, and being there for each other.
Yeah.
That's what really a community is. I want to ask you about, when you put out content, what's your agenda behind the content? Like we already said
Yeah.
that, but for somebody who's starting out or who's thinking about putting out a content, who's thinking about putting out content but it is hesitant to write something, what is your top tip for them?
I mean, just focus on con first, don't overthink it. Content doesn't need to be perfect. Most people, like, perfect is the enemy of the good, and
Mm-hmm.
perfect is, done is better than perfect. that most people, think that they need to be perfect and that I need this perfectly crafted post because they're looking at these other ones. It doesn't matter. Just focus on if you have some area of expertise, add that. If you want to share like an experience, add that. You want to highlight something, add that. Just focus on that. You'd be surprised. The other thing is like if you want to focus more on the business side, really give a lot of advice for free. Like give that stuff for free. And then because what happens is, look, there's some people who will take it and never pay you, which is fine. But then like you watch my content. There are people who watch my content for months, and then it's like, hey, I want to use you for resume. And the beauty of that is when they use you, they're using you for you. You're not competing with five other people. They're using you because you've built a relationship with them in some way. You've built this level of trust that someone else who is new cannot sort of build with them. And for me personally, it's like I like giving insight. Like so when I worked in an office, I was like office funny. Like I'd always like point out things. That was me. Like I'd always point out things. So you can see in my posts, right? Point out little things, and I'm like very sarcastic in a professional way. Like I was very good in the office. Like
Yeah,
people love me.
it's very wise what you say, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
And the other thing is, so sometimes it's insight. Sometimes I just want to make people laugh. Sometimes it's advice. So I like doing diversity in my content so that people don't get like if I always made every post a joke, people get bored of that. Like I know one guy on LinkedIn, every post is a joke where it's like, the thing, it's like a copy and pasted joke. And it's like whack because one part of comedy is that it has to be unexpected. So you can't just have like, here's a formula to be funny, right? And if you realize how I catch a lot of people, it's like it's totally unexpected. And it's if I did that every post, it wouldn't be unexpected, and it takes away that humor part. The
yeah,
other thing is it's like giving insight, either regular insight or insight through humor, and really point things. So and the main thing is I have this diverse strategy is that if you only post job seeking tips, you're not relevant to non-job seekers. If you only post insight, you're not relevant to this group. So I like that I'm always making everybody a little happy.
mm, mm.
That's my thing, but it depends on what your goal is, and
Yeah,
yeah,
have a sort of a
yeah,
vision to where you're going, what you need, and what you want, and and
yeah,
that's the first step, right? I mean,
yeah.
so many of us we think LinkedIn is this big professional platform. I mean, we're at the end of the day, we're all
It's a
we
professional social platform. That's what people don't get.
yeah,
So some people are too social, right? Where it's like, hey, don't post pictures of your food, and I mean, you could. It depends. You have to know how to do it, right? There's a certain way, and some people are too professional. Like, I don't want to know the third report you produced this week on, FinCEF or something,
yeah,
whatever. And so it's about finding the right blend. And then so the people who do the best are like sort of right in the middle, where it's like, hey, it's professional and social. And that's kind of the advice I'd have is like figure out the right balance.
good, yeah. Oh, I was gonna say something, but I completely forgot about that now. But
Yeah, it's all right.
we'll
That
come
happens to
back.
me all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just his Jonaed's content is so, um, and I respect you so much for the content that you put out, and it's like such a,
And that's my
it's a,
goal. Like
yeah, it's
I
such
see a
a.
lot.
Go ahead.
No, I see a lot of people who like take there's a formula for going viral on LinkedIn. It's like very you see the post and and for me it's like it's so cheap because then other people copy your formula. Like one of my things is I want to do posts in a way that if someone copied me, they would know that it's not them. Like when I make a post, it's me. Like it's my voice, you hear my voice, it's me. People can't copy it. And the thing is they can't copy it because they have to think like me and they don't know how to do the setup, right? So
Yeah,
it's like that's different. So that's kind of one thing that I like pride myself and I look forward to that where it's
yeah,
like I respect his content and I know how to do content that's like gets more views, but I don't want to be a sellout just purely for the sake of getting likes. I like having people who like follow me and they respect me because the moment I get certain people saying, "Hey man, that's not you," that's when I'll be like, "Oh, okay, I'm not being true to myself."
mm. And you know what? Like I said this somewhere. I wrote about this. I said, let's say you put out 100 pieces of content. I can assure you, 50 of them are going to be good.
Yeah,
And that we never have to measure our success by the number of likes we get or the
yeah,
people who follow us. I hate that whole game. It doesn't work very well for me.
yeah,
Um and then just like doing it is, like you said, better done is better than not doing it.
Yeah, done is better than perfect.
Thank you. That done is better than perfect. So, just like, so if you're struggling with the idea of putting something on social media, know that we've all been there. And then the minute we start to share our stories, we get out of our own way.
I mean, I learned so much just from other people's story. That's where like I get like 90% of my information is like people who has stories and they share. And then I was like, okay, wow, okay, I could apply this. And then the other thing is, look, even if you produce a lot of bad content, you get better. Like
Yeah.
you get better over time. It's
Yeah.
like that's literally it. You're not just gonna. No one starts like and is amazing right off the bat. They've
Yeah.
practiced, they've done, they've learned, and you get better. And you get over the fear of like, okay, cool. If my post got 10 likes, who cares? Like, no one, look, if it got 10 likes, no one's gonna know it got 10 likes because they only got 10 likes, other than those 10 people. So it's like, it's
It's
fine.
it's so over. The like game is overrated. So
Yeah,
guys, like really just be authentic. Like, know who you are, know where you're going, and what do you want, and from there your growth happens organically. Pardon me. So thank you for that. That was actually really beneficial to me as well. I'm gonna go and stalk all of your posts now,
yeah.
and leave comments everywhere. Okay.
Okay, good. I'll do the same for you.
And so we're getting to the end of our show, and I want to at the end of our show we always pull some sexy, brilliant,
Oh, let's see. I'm excited. I was waiting for this.
empowering cards. And they're always, so guys, they're a little bit X-rated. If you have kids around here, maybe
yeah.
not. I don't want you getting into trouble with your
No,
kids.
no.
Okay.
I'm okay. I own my own company, so I'm good.
This is for the people who are joining us at the replay and on podcasts and YouTube and BitChute. So okay, so choose a number. What's your favorite number between 1 and 30?
Let's do 29. I'm 29, so let's do 29.
Good God, could you not have like made it easier? I have to count from 1 to 29 now.
Just
Okay.
do the second to last.
Okay, this is the card.
Yeah.
So our card today is love and re-love.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and it says, love is a sexy art. We are all deserving of love, care, and acceptance, and a sense of belonging. So promise to give love second chances and opportunities to flourish. Make self-kindness a top priority. There is growth in love. We are all worthy of love.
What a beautiful quote. I love it.
Yeah, and you know what? You asked for that card, Jonaed. So what do you have to, in closing, what do you have to say about love? And
I mean, I think the card brought up a lot of good points that sense of belonging is very important. Like humans are very social creatures. Whether it doesn't matter whether they're introvert and extrovert. People want some sort of belonging. They want some sort of community. That's why it's like forums do very well, where it's like people come together to talk about certain things, right? Certain topics. So I think that's very important. The other thing is it's like, give love a second chance. I think regardless of who you have, significant others, friends, family, you sort of have to give them second chances. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And if you're always like cutting people off for the smallest things and not giving people chances, that sort of you'll have no friends, right? You'll just end up it'll just lead a sad life. And then self-kindness, I like that close because you have to be kind to yourself. Oftentimes we are our own worst enemies. We're the harshest to ourselves. And you can't do that because if you're harsh to yourself, you sort of give permission to let other people be that way to you, right?
mhm.
If you're kind to yourself, you're sort of you attract that. But even if other people don't treat you well, it doesn't affect you as much because you know where you belong. You know who you are and you know what you stand for.
Beautiful. Wow. So, like I said, gifted with words, gifted with numbers, gifted with people and communication. Thank you so much, Jonaed. And everybody, make sure that you're following Jonaed. You're checking him out, nodegree.com. And thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. And you can always check out our sexybrilliant.org, 100% nonprofit. And our mission is to remove toxic shame. And those of you who purchased the book, Too Fat, Too Loud, Too Ambitious, your purchases, your donations help run our foundation.
Oh, you know what? I'll put an offer. The first person who listens to this and asks for the book, I'm gonna buy it for them.
Yes, there you
Yeah.
go.
So send me the message.
I will send you the
say,
message.
hey, you owe me a book.
I owe you a book, and
And I'll buy it for you.
Thank you, guys. I mean, and you know what? This is what it is. It's all about supporting, and it's about helping each other grow emotionally, spiritually, financially, and collaboration over competition.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to add links to Jonaed's information and profile. Please check him out. Once again, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to Brilliantly Sexy with Devina Kaur. It's an absolute honor to be here and do this, have this journey together of finding out who we are and where we, what's coming for us. The unknown is always exciting.
It is. It is.
Thank you so much. Okay, stay here.